Well, this is your very own personalized Saba here. Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator Kolo. Now, so we're getting into something that I really never really explored that much because I'm not decided, but I see going through the Zohar, there are certain places they start talking about Inyanim having doing with the holidays. So here we are in Pesach. And so we're looking at the Zohar. It's like an area that I just don't know too much about. Let's come down here and see what's happening. Rebbe Shimon is giving a lecture in his base medrash. The Matok B'Devas brings over here the Ariya Kodesh, and he says the following. This is to help us understand. I just jumped into it last time, I did this year, and I found out there was something called the TANIM, TANIM Agadol, and there was something about the Yaorim. I didn't really understand what it was. I just jumped into it, and there it was. Now we know these are words that appear in the Chumash in Parshas Bo, and anyway, let's come over and let's read this little shtickle. Be'inyan Hataninin, when we talk about and the Yaorim, which we're going to be talking about, Sheb'Maimer Rabo, in this mimer that we're going to get into now, we'll do some of it. He says, Kosav Harachu, that's the Rav Chaim Vital. Shehem Sod Eser Kasarim de Misa'uvusa. That the Misavusa, Misoiv, means that it's impure, so, or filthy. Sod Eser Kasarim de Misavusa de Dechura, of the male element, the Hainu, Eser Spheres Shala Klipos, the 10 spheres of the Klipos. V'da, know this, it should be called makam dechsiv taninim every time that the Torah uses the word taninim. So you have to think, and you have to go back into Parshas Bo. Heim anishmas hapanimius hasfiros. This is really the panimius, the neshama that is in the panimius of the sphera. This is what brings a life into the sphera. But b'kol makom dechsiv yaorim, and then you have these taninim, which is the life force inside of the sphera of Tumah, the sphera which he calls Kasarim de Misavusa, but he also says it's the male part of it, the Dechura. So he said, whenever it writes the word Yaorim, which we translate like some kind of canals or rivers or something, Hem HaKelim v'Hagufim Shal Spheros, these are the Kelim that surround the Spheros. Ki hayor hu hamakom shebo nimsoim adogim, because what is the yor? That's the place where you find the fish. Okay, so now we're going to look at Rebbe Shimon. Try to find this, follow this along. It says, Amar Rebbe Shimon, hashta is the galal razim. Now it's time to come, ha'atosh yesh legalul. It's time now to reveal Soda shall Eser Sphera shall Klipos, the secrets of the 10 spheres of the Klipos. The question is, what can we learn from this? The Inun Mizdav came the Ela, that they are stuck onto, they are clinging on up above. Shehem Mizdavkos Mushwashos, that they cling to, but they're also rooted in Lamala Begadusha, up above in Kedusha. That's a hard one to hear. Is that the forces, the 10 forces of filth in the world, of disgusting things in the world, they have a root lamala b'kedusha. V'sata imisham is pashto tamata. So then from that place they go downwards. Now, what does this mean? Ratzon l'lomer. So the Matok adds what to say like this. After the klipos are developed, and where are they developed? They're developed in the hidden worlds of Bria, Yitzir, and Asiya. Misham mispashtos ad paro hatachtom, and from the Bria, then as we go through this chain of it's actually more and more revelation of some physicality. It winds up going down till it reaches the pyro, hatachton, who's down at the very bottom. And it says what's written like this: Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Moshe Rabbeinu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Bo el paro, go into paro. Bakasha. He should have said, so he sent him that he should walk or travel a love lahasros bos, or to show him this, or to warn him al makas arba, that there's going to be, like, say, for example, at the maka, which is going to come from the locust. My bow. So why does it say bow? Why does it say why bow? Lama of bo, Mataritz, and it answers she'ein hakavana sheyelach el paro latachton sheba olam hazeh. Not that you should go to the paro, who is the physical manifestation of a king, of this king in this world. El l'saro shel ma'ala, but he's talking about to raise yourself up into the higher spiritual world and find the root of this. That's the sar. The head, it's personalized, as if it's like like something human or something like that, but it's not. It's the actual source of where this particular influence is coming from. The sorrow shalmal, up above, where its origin is, Shuhu Nikra Paro Melech. That's called Paro, the king. Mitzrayim of Mitzrayim, who sowed HaTANIM Hagodo, and this sar, he says, of the paro down below. In other words, the paro down below is a physical manifestation, but the energy is coming from somewhere else, coming from a higher, more inside place. That's where you have to go, Moshe is saying to Moshe. So now we're moving on, and we'll get a little bit more out of this and see if God should help us. And this is what the pasuk says: Ella the oil kucha berichu idarim basar idarim. So what does this mean? Kodesh Baruch Hu lifted him up. Ella shehiknis HaKodesh Baruch Hu should have brought Moshe in, as Moshe, chadarim lifnim mechadarim, rooms, spaces, inside of spaces, but medregas chitzonim, on the different levels of chitzonim. Now, chitzonim is another word for the 10 spheres of Misavusa. Until he reaches to one particular tanin. Now, he says that this you have to go into falseness, which is the world of chitzonius. El tanin, that he gets to one isolated, one alone, that's the tanin echad, one particular tanin, shehu elyon ma'avatakif, which is the ultimate one, very, very powerful and strong. The kamadarkim mishtalshnei minei, shekama madregos, tameos, all different kinds of levels of Tumah, mishtalshlosh v'yotzes memenu, they developed out and they come out from him. Amafarish explains lizohuman ihu, who zeh hatanin, and who is this snake, this tanin? Valmer rosa the tanin agadol, who sowed hatanim agadol, shuhu ha'arich, that is the Erich Anpin of Klippa. Erich Anpin could be seen, let's say, like if we had which the Rav is actually giving us, is that the Rebbe Shimon is giving us a telescope that can bring us to see the inside of the origins of all things. And that's why we learn these things, because they have the ability to sweeten the channels. That's what you could do. This is Matok Medivash, sweeter than honey. You have to sweeten them up. But these are the channels by which the flow of the light of Hashem has to flow. And so we have to sweeten them up. So he continues on and he says, Moshe Dachil Meneh, Moshe Hoya Misyari B'Meneh, who was afraid of this Tanin, Avado. Lo Rata the Hiskara Tocha Tumah. He didn't want to get that deeply into Tumah. Now you have to start just thinking to 1 second only. It's the deepest, most disgusting parts of your life, where your mind wanders from time to time. These are the places of Tumah, and Moshe is commanded. If you think about Rabbi Akiva, who came out of the Pardes and so on and so forth. He was commanded to actually enter into this. So this secret is what's written like this. Moshe Rabbeinu. When a Kodesh Baruch Hu said to him, "Sheyishlach as matechu arza," that he should throw his staff that he was carrying onto the ground. Vashlikechu arza, and he said it did that. V'hi lenachash, and it be turned into a snake. V'yachnas Moshe b'fanav, and Moshe ran from it. Shlo ratza his davig b'madrigosa, because there's a level of the snake. Listen to this. It's the level of the snake. Shlo ratza lehidabek b'madrigosa, if he didn't want to go into that low level of lowness. V'oz amar HaKodesh Baruch Hu, then the Shem said to him, Shalach yadacha ve'echaz bezanvo. So put your hand out, send your hand out and grab a hold of its tail. Came in she'ata mispache mepanav al yonim. Now let's see what he says. That since you are terrified, mepanav from his face, al yonim from the upper face, im came achos bezanvo. So therefore take its back end. Shehim kochos hatachtonis shalo, which is his lower level of power. Lahainu, that is to say, v'lo kriv ela the gabe inin Yaorim, and he said, if oz niskarav ela el hayorim shalom. So then he only came to the lower part. What is the lower part? He says that's the Yaorim. So he says this would be like in the way the Kabbalah say it. It says the zat of the other side. It's the lower 7 spheros of the other side. Shalosh shehem hatesha spheros. Now it says to count them 9 spheros. Hatachtonas shalaklipos. V'inun dargin delay, and these are its levels. V'hem hamadregos hatachtona shalom. Aval lagabe dacha v'lo karev. Aval elov. In other words, he swam into the side currents of this filth, the filth of the mind. But actually to the TANIM Agola, TANIM Mamish Choyim Misyari V'lo Niskarv, he was afraid of that and he didn't come near it. Amna Moshe Rabbeinu. Because Ma'asach v'Chagadolim V'lo Choyu Yochel Ha'aver Gululim Min Ha'aretz. So let's read what he says. He says, let's see. Moshe Rabbeinu, of all of the great things that he did, Ma'asach v'Gadolim, Lo hoya yochel, he was not able lahavir galulim, which are idols min haaretz. That is the making of fantasies around hidden powers. Levato koach chitzonim, and to nullify the power of the chitzonim. Mikol, that is in all the different things that they do. Begin the mishtarish b'sharshem Elohim b'fisha raw, because he saw this is very difficult to understand, that the origin of evil, the fisha raw also mishtarish b'sharshem Elyonim, that actually the root of evil is in, let's just translate it with upper roots. Behind the beso, the gevura hazaka, the kedusha, that is the real place that this comes from, is there is a type of gevura which is made to fight the kitzanim. But from that devolves into actually a gevura that is used by the kitzanim. Zechus Yisrael lahachnia, the merit of the Jewish people is not sufficient to be able to humble that down. That is, the humble the Chitzonim for the Tapek Din HaGavur, and to really the Matek Din HaGavur, to sweet this din which has its origin in Gavura. So then the Zohar goes on. It says, "Kevin the Chama Kudukucha Barichu the Dachel Moshe, Kevin Shara Hakodesh Baruch Shemoshe Misyara the Hiskarav, that he was afraid to come near. V'Shalichem Mamonach Achronim Laela Lo Yachlan the Karva the Gabe. V'Gam Shalichem, also emissaries, Umamonim, and appointees. Now these are different levels of captains of light, let's say, so to speak, or channels, flows of light. Imagine a huge amount of the light of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which is light of nothing, has to be channeled and shaped and make it into the appearance of something. So the appearance is all chitzonim. But at any rate, so he says, V'gam shlichim umamonim macherim shahu malachim ma'ala, that come from the channels, which I keep trying to use this word channels on the word malachim. Among the personalized, their personalized individual channels. Gam came with the they were also not able to come near to him. Because of his frightening nature. Shema yizdabguhu b'madrigosav, and what are they afraid of? Maybe they'll wind up becoming a part of his level, sink to that level of lowness. Amakodesh Baruch Hu, so Kodesh Baruch Hu said, Hineni alecha paro melech Mitzrayim, Pirush. Hasar ha'elyon shem Mitzrayim, this what we're talking about, this Tanin Agado, which is the real ruler over Mitzrayim. HaTanim Agadol Rovetz Besoch Yaorim, that who swarms, or he rovates. Let's see what rovetz is. Who HaTanim Agadol Shuhu Ha'arich the klipa, this big smig, which is the ultimate manifestation of the source of all of this evil of the klipa. Harovetz bein shar spherosov, which swims between all of the other the spheros and the crows Yaorim, which are called Yaorim. Let's get back here. Let me read it again. The klipa harovetz bein shar spherosov, that is swimming in between these, or floating in between these other spheros and these other shar spherosov, and which are called the Yaorim. They're the big streams. The Kucher Barichu Itzrich La'agacha Karva Bay V'lo Achra V'Kodesh Baruch Hu Levado. It's only a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Yitztarak L'Lchom will be necessary for him to fight Imo V'lo Achra, and none other. Kama Da'at Amar, like you say like this, Ani Hashem. V'darsha Chazal, and the Chazal explain. Ani v'lo malach, I am, it is me, not someone else. Ani v'lo shliach, ani, not an emissary. V'haido the asidavo, that is in the future, k'bavuhar b'cha b'sofa mimer, that's that apparently the end of this mimer that we're into. K'she'aver HaKodesh Baruch HaGolulim min ha'aretz, when Hashem removes all idolatry from the world. This is worship of false ideas, which is a libidinal, let's use that phrase, power to suck everything into sex. That is the power of the Galulim. Mina aretz v'halilim, another word for the same kind of karos yikrasuchu b'mein b'yameinu amen. They should do this right away. Evil does exist in our world. So v'okumuhu raza the chachma hatachtonim. So he says this is the secret. The chachma the hatanim. I read it wrong. The chachma of the snake, of the tanim. What is this tanim? This evil. It's not a snake. I've been concentrated. It's the origin of the evil force, which, as he says, this really has an origin in kedusha. Raza the Chachma the Tanim Agada Charoba Besochia Ora Kuvar Pirsho Chachamim. So the Chachamim, he says, I've already explained this as Sod HaChachma Shal Tachta Tanim Agada. What is the Chachma of this great Tanim? Harovet Besochia Orim, who was swimming in beside in these canals. In other words, this sending out his evil all over. Linun Mari Midin is the Laosam Babali Midos, Ha'asokim Bemidas Alyonim, Bemidas Ayonim, the Yodim Beraza, the Marechem Yodim Besoda Shalkonam. Now, I can translate, but I lost this. Let's go over here where it says this. So maybe this is a good place I could come. Let's try it here. Muhu Chachamim, so the Chachamim, Raza, the Chachma, so the Tanim, Hagadach, Harovit, Betzach, Yaorim. So he says this has been talked about already. The secret of the Chachma, the Tanim, Moshe Pirshu Chachamim, as Sod HaChachma Shal HaTanim Agadol. So they're going to explain this. Harovit, Betzach, Yaorim, who is swimming in the streams. So there's an aspect of him that is inside of these Yaorim. Ve'inun Mari Midin. What is that? The Osam Bal Midos. Are they saying they're going after these people? I really don't know. The Osam Bali Midos, Oskim Midos Al Yonim, who are really dealing with the Midos, the flow of light, really, the Midas of the Yonim is how the Mida means is that the measurements, but it means that there are many, many channels which make the channels and the light that are in them kind of like one, but they become more thick. So the Yadin Baraza, the Marechum, that know the secrets of their maker. Now, I guess we're going to stop here. And I kind of keep going. There was a little bit there at the end that I really wasn't sure where we was going with it, and we'll try to pick it up with God's help at the next year.